General Hospital. Shocker. Carly discovers the truth about Drew's attack and Willow is behind it all. The walls of General Hospital have witnessed countless secrets, but nothing could prepare Port Charles for the bombshell revelation that unfolded in Drew Kane's hospital room this week. In a twist that left viewers reeling, Carly stumbled upon evidence that could shatter everything fans thought they knew about the attack on Drew, and the identity of the real culprit might be the last person anyone suspected. A mother's desperate mission. The tension began when Carly made her way through the hushed corridors of General Hospital late in the evening. With Michael facing serious charges related to Drew's assault, Carly couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. Her maternal instincts were in overdrive, and she was determined to find any shred of evidence that could prove her son's innocence. As she approached Drew's room, Carly watched the night nurse complete her rounds and disappear down the hallway. This was her chance. Glancing over her shoulder to ensure no one was watching, Carly slipped through the door and quietly closed it behind her. The room was dimly lit, with only the soft glow of medical monitors casting shadows across the walls. Drew lay motionless in the bed tubes and wires, connecting him to various machines that beeped rhythmically. Carly's heart clenched at the sight of him in such a vulnerable state. Despite their complicated history, she never wanted this for him. "I'm so sorry, Drew," she whispered, stepping closer to the bed. "I need to figure out what really happened to you." She began scanning the room, looking for anything, a personal item, a note, security footage, logs, anything that might shed light on the events of that fateful night. But as she moved around the bed, something caught her attention that made her freeze in her tracks. The impossible movement. Drew's hand twitched. At first, Carly thought it was her imagination or perhaps an involuntary muscle spasm. But then she saw it again, a deliberate attempt at movement. His fingers curled slightly, then relaxed, then curled again. Her breath caught in her throat as she watched in disbelief. "Drew," she said softly, moving closer. "Can you hear me?" His eyelids fluttered, though they didn't open. But his lips began to move, forming shapes without sound. Carly's pulse quickened. This was impossible. The doctors had said he was in a deep coma with minimal brain activity. Yet here, he was clearly trying to communicate. She leaned in closer, her ear hovering just above his lips. At first, she heard nothing but his shallow breathing. Then came the whisper, so faint she almost missed it. "Will." The sound was barely more than an exhale. Carly's eyes widened. "What, Drew? What are you trying to say?" His lips moved again, more deliberately this time. "Will." Ow. The word hit Carly like a physical blow. "Willow." He was saying Willow's name. "Drew, are you saying Willow? Did Willow do this to you?" Carly's hands trembled as she gripped the bed rail. Drew's fingers twitched again, and his mouth continued to form the name over and over. "Willow. Willow." Carly stumbled backward, her mind racing to process what she was hearing. Willow Corinthos, Michael's wife, the mother of his children. The woman the entire Corinthos family had welcomed with open arms had attacked Drew. It seemed impossible, yet here was Drew, fighting through his coma to tell the truth. "Oh my God," Carly breathed. Michael didn't do this. Willow did? Michael's been taking the fall for his own wife. The pieces began falling into place with horrifying clarity. Michael's strange behavior after the attack, his refusal to fully defend himself, his insistence on taking responsibility he must have been covering for Willow. But why? What could have driven Willow to such violence, and why would Michael sacrifice himself to protect her? The plan unravels. Carly's instinct was immediate. She needed to get to Jason. He had to know what she'd discovered. This evidence could change everything. Michael's freedom, his future, his children's lives, all of it hung in the balance. She pulled out her phone, her fingers hovering over Jason's contact. But something made her hesitate. She looked back at Drew, still struggling to speak, to move to reveal the truth that someone had tried to bury with him. "I'm going to make this right," she promised him. "Jason needs to know. We're going to clear Michael's name." Carly turned toward the door, her phone still in hand when the handle began to turn. She barely had time to register what was happening before the door swung open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the harsh fluorescent light of the hallway. Willow Corinthos stood in the doorway. For a moment, neither woman moved. Willow's expression was unreadable, but there was something in her eyes, something cold and calculating that Carly had never seen before. Gone was the gentle, soft-spoken daughter-in-law, who had seemed almost too good to be true. In her place stood someone else entirely. Carly Willow said, her voice eerily calm. "What are you doing in Drew's room?" Carly's grip tightened on her phone. "I could ask you the same thing, Willow. Though I think we both know the answer now, don't we?" Willow stepped into the room and closed the door behind her with a quiet click that somehow sounded ominous in the stillness. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't you?" Carly's voice hardened. "Because Drew just told me everything. He said your name, Willow. He's been trying to tell us the truth this whole time, and you knew it, didn't you? That's why you've been hanging around here so much. Isn't it making sure he stayed quiet?" The confrontation. A flicker of something, anger perhaps, or fear, crossed Willow's face before her expression smoothed back into that unsettling calm. "You're not making any sense. Drew is in a coma. He can't tell you anything. He just did." Carly positioned herself between Willow and the bed, protective instincts flaring. "I heard him. He's fighting through the coma to expose you. And now I understand everything why Michael has been acting so strange, why he won't fully defend himself. He's been protecting you." "You're delusional," Willow said, but her voice had lost some of its steadiness. "Michael didn't do anything wrong, and neither did I." "Really? Then why do you look so worried right now?" Carly challenged. "Why are you here at this hour, Willow? What were you planning to do?" The two women faced each other across Drew's bed, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The only sounds were the rhythmic beeping of the monitors and Drew's labored breathing. Willow's jaw clenched. "You don't understand what happened. You don't know what Drew did, so you admit it." Carly's voice rose. "You did this to him." "Keep your voice down," Willow hissed, glancing toward the door. "You want to bring the entire hospital staff running in here." "Maybe I do. Maybe everyone needs to hear the truth." The truth. Willow's composure finally cracked and something dark flashed in her eyes. "You want to talk about truth? Let's talk about how Drew manipulated me, used me. Let's talk about how he threatened everything I've built with Michael and our children." "You don't get to stand there and judge me, Carly. You of all people should understand what it means to protect your family." Carly's blood ran cold. "So you did attack him? And you're letting Michael take the fall for it." "Michael chose to protect me," Willow shot back. "He understands what's at stake. Our children need their mother, Carly. Michael knows that. Why can't you? My son is facing serious charges, potentially years in prison for something he didn't do." Carly's hands balled into fists. What kind of wife lets her husband sacrifice himself like that? The kind who's trying to keep a family together. Willow's voice cracked with emotion. "You think this is easy for me? You think I wanted any of this? Drew forced my hand. He gave me no choice." "There's always a choice," Carly said firmly. "And you made the wrong one. But I'm not going to let Michael pay for your mistakes. I'm calling Jason and we're going to fix this." Willow took a step forward, and for a moment Carly saw something almost desperate in her expression. "Please, Carly, think about Wiley and Amelia. Think about what this will do to them if their mother goes to prison. Michael is trying to work out a deal. His lawyers think they can get the charges reduced to something manageable. But if the truth comes out, I'll lose everything. My children will lose their mother. And if the truth doesn't come out, my son loses his freedom." Carly's voice broke with emotion. "You're asking me to choose between my son and my grandchildren. That's not a choice a mother should ever have to make." The truth emerges. Behind them, Drew's monitor beeped faster, the rhythm accelerating. Both women turned to look at him, and what they saw made them both gasp. Drew's eyes were open, not fully, but unmistakably open, and he was looking directly at Willow. "Will!" Low, he managed to rasp his voice, barely audible, but clear enough for both women to hear. "You did this." Willow's face went pale. "Drew, I tell truth." Drew continued each word, clearly costing him immense effort. "Me? Chow. Innocent." Carly felt tears prickling her eyes. "Drew, save your strength." "I heard you. I know what happened. I'm going to make sure justice is served." Drew's gaze shifted to Carly, and she saw something like gratitude in his eyes before they drifted closed again. The effort of staying conscious proving too much. Carly turned back to Willow, her expression hardening. "You heard him. He's awake enough to testify. This is over, Willow. The truth is coming out whether you like it or not. Carly, please! Willow's voice was desperate now, all pretense of composure gone. Let me talk to Michael first. Let me figure out how to tell him how to explain. Explain what? How you let him throw his life away for you. How you destroyed our family to protect your own interests. Carly shook her head. I'm done listening to excuses. I'm calling Jason and then we're going to the police. If you want any chance at leniency, I suggest you get a lawyer. A really good one. She raised her phone, but Willow grabbed her wrist. Wait. The door burst open and a nurse rushed in, her eyes widening at the scene before her. What's going on in here? I heard raised voices. She stopped short when she saw Drew. His monitors are going crazy. You both need to leave. Now. As medical staff flooded into the room, Carly and Willow were forced into the hallway. They stood facing each other in the harsh fluorescent light, the sounds of urgent medical activity echoing from Drew's room. This isn't over, Carly said quietly, but with steel in her voice. Not by a long shot. You're gonna pay for what you've done, and Michael is gonna be free. I'll make sure of it. Willow's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she said nothing. She simply turned and walked away down the corridor, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. Carly leaned against the wall, her legs suddenly weak. She'd come looking for evidence to clear her son, and she'd found it, but at what cost? The revelation would tear Michael's family apart, devastate her grandchildren, and potentially destroy the life Michael had built with Willow. But the truth had to come out. Michael couldn't pay for a crime he didn't commit, no matter how complicated the circumstances. With shaking hands, Carly pressed Jason's contact and held the phone to her ear. Jason, she said, when he answered, her voice thick with emotion. I found out what happened to Drew. And you're not going to believe who's really responsible. The aftermath begins. As Carly spoke rapidly into the phone, recounting everything she'd witnessed. She could see through the window into Drew's room, where doctors and nurses worked frantically around his bed. Drew had fought his way back to consciousness long enough to speak the truth. Now it was up to them to ensure that truth didn't get buried again. Down the hallway, Willow stood frozen near the elevator, her hand hovering over the call button. She could run, try to disappear, but where would she go? And what about her children? What about Michael? The elevator doors opened and Michael himself stepped out. His eyes widened when he saw his wife's expression. Willow, what's wrong? What are you doing here? Willow opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. How could she tell him that everything was falling apart, that his mother had discovered the truth, that Drew was awake and talking? Before she could form a response, Michael's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed instantly. It's Jason, he said, confusion evident in his voice. He says, we need to talk. Now, he's with my mother, and Michael's voice trailed off as he read further. His face went white. He says Drew is awake. That Drew told them everything. Michael's eyes met Willow's, and in that moment she saw his world crumbling around him. Willow, he said, slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. What did you do? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with betrayal and heartbreak. And as security footage would later show, it was the exact moment when everything the Corinthos family thought they knew about love, loyalty, and sacrifice changed forever.